missing children. Tasha K, where are your kids? Because word on the street is you ain't got time to raise children. We already know that girl is Sheck, baby. You ain't had that child in quite some time. And you sent little Teddy to Africa with your husband, people. You a married woman and you ain't got time to raise your kids? But you want to talk about mine all day, huh? That boy is under 10 years old being raised by Africans that you don't really know. For all you know, that little boy is playing in a pile of monkey right now. You don't know. Wrestling with rhinos. Where your kids? You busy running around trying to blackmail Kevin Hart for cheating on his wife when we all know he likes penis?
CDL truck stopped going to the supermarkets and there was no food on the shelves. How would you guys eat? Would you guys turn on each other and become zombie-like? Weeds, trees, and leaves, bulbs, berries, and bark. We are all surrounded by wild edibles. This is the Forager's Guide to Wild Foods, and let me show you all the gems it contains. And one of the best things about this book is it has a terminology list, so if you're just like me and you're getting into herbalism, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And again, what makes this book so cool is it gives you a map on where to find whatever herb, plant, or fruit you are looking for. And it also gives you more details. It gives you the warning, gives you the poisonous lookalikes, you know? You don't just get a book with a bunch of pictures and say, hey, figure it out. It literally is step by step on what to do, where to go, and how to find and prep each plant or herb. Example, if you wanted to find mountain mint, it's really only located more towards the eastern of the United States, and you can actually make mountain mint tea. It shows you how to collect a handful of fresh leaves or use 1 tablespoon. Dry leaves, boil 1 to 2 cups of water, add leaves, steep for 10 minutes, and enjoy. And there is countless of priceless information in this wonderful book. And just how unstable the world really is at this moment, it will not hurt to have certain information like this. You guys will not regret it, especially for my farmers, my herbalists, and also just my healthy people, or just to anybody that wants to get into herbalism. This is a good book to start with. I mean, the other book we were promoting, it literally got sold out. I'm pretty sure this book is going to get sold out as well. So if you guys want to be part of us that's actually want to get into holistic health, be sure to click the link below. These books are at a discount and they do sell out like hotcakes. So don't miss your chance to get it while you can. And I see you guys on the healthy side. Link is below.
I had a second experience in 2010, which is well documented. I've talked about it. It took years to come out about it because I basically lost my whole family over this.
No way.
Yeah.
You came out of the closet?
No, no, no. No, Diddy.
No.
But yeah,
tell me, what happened?
So 2010, I came home. I was working on this big project called Fort Terra Nova, which I built. And Fort Terra Nova, it was on the History Channel. A Countdown to Apocalypse, the Nostradamus episode. And anyway, so I was working on this project. I come home, I'm looking at ESPN, and I'm looking at sports. About 9 o'clock p.m. All the lights turn dim, the TV turns off, and I thought my kids were playing a trick on me because they lived up in the room behind me, up on the second floor. And I look up, and there's nobody there. When I turn around, there were these 2 beings right there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And, man, hold on.
Whoa.
Sorry.
No.
What do you have to break yourself, man?
No.
So they were right there. I'm sitting in a chair about this high, so they were right here in my eyes. And
Yo, Alex is freaking out right now. What the fuck? This is wild. Okay.
All right, let me get myself together.
No, take your time.
So they were there. They had the big almond eyes like you see on TV. I swear they did.
So you have 2 beings in front of you.
But they didn't look like they were real eyes. They looked like coverings of some type. And they didn't communicate with me through any kind of telepathy that I could tell, but I felt like my brain was shaking in my skull to the point where it started hurting, and I started screaming, but no sound was coming out of my throat. I can feel the air coming out, but I couldn't hear it myself.
And you were awake during this period? You weren't taking a nap or anything like that?
Taking a nap, no psychedelics.
Of course, yeah.
And my whole house, everyone was in. My wife at the time, my ex-wife was in the bedroom right behind the next wall. My girls were in that side of the house, a split floor plan. My boys were in that side of the house. The house was full of people. Nobody heard or saw anything. I was screaming. A few seconds later, it stops, and they turn around, and they don't walk like a person. They kind of dangle. So they kind of dangled away, and they went right through the wall. And then, boom, the TV comes back. The lights come back to normal color. And that's when I went running around the house, and it was just traumatic for everybody, you know. And it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. There was other reasons why, but I ended up my one son, Giovanni. He's told me I'm scared to even come around you, and still to this day, he rarely ever calls me or comes around. It's like I lost my son. I made no money off of this. I got no exposure off of this. That's why I kept it quiet for so long. Lost my family. Created a lot of dissension. I remember we were on a highway one day, and my wife was driving at the time, my ex-wife, and she slammed on the brakes, and it was like, just get out of the car, because it was the kids were scared, and I was like, I'm sticking to my story. I'm not changing my story because this really happened to me, and they just didn't want to hear it. But her parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, so everything was of the devil.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my day in Europe, but
See y'all.
oh, sorry.
See y'all.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna fucking steal from me. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she scared the shit out of me. They're just minding their business, but I'm still kind of scared. Oh my gosh. Put my back to the side. Yeah. Gosh, my anxiety is through the roof. Oh gosh. A group of hoodlums. Yeah, I like to have. Oh shit. Hi. Gosh. Thugs. Thugs. You're like a rapper. Oh, I thought you were a rapper. Sorry, I thought she was gonna rob me.
Richard confronts Adam for being an atheist and asks if he's a devil worshiper.
He's black, so he fits the description.
No. Do you believe God, bro?
No, obviously not. Everybody knows I don't believe in God.
You an atheist?
Yes.
Damn, I didn't know that. Damn.
You a devil worshiper?
No, that's not what that means.
So you don't believe black people the real Jews?
I heard that about
On King Dave, do you believe black people the real Jews, bro?
You went out there. Why did you go out there with the Jews? Cause was that for clout? You had the camera.
Nah, that's real shit. Cause I live in New York, and them Jews they had something going on, a secret operation under them tunnels. They was like trafficking, all type of shit.
They were just praying in there.
They weren't just praying in them synagogues, gang.
They're just praying.
Okay,
That's never what it looks like.
That's crazy, gang. I'm telling you, 60-mile tunnel.
But what made you think that you was supposed to be to go down there and do that?
Cause ain't nobody gonna do that.
Okay.
Ain't nobody gonna do that. I'm not that's gonna do something. Ain't nobody gonna do, gang. On King Dave.
So you the chosen one.
It ain't no clout chasing, none of that, gang. On BD. Like, I know what I know on BD. I know my history. I know what I know. These people stole our culture, gang. Russia just exposed that Jesus was black, gang. They just
Russia did?
So here they are. The sun is like right on them, so it might be hard for you guys to make out, but I'll get up closer. Gosh, initial look is like, what the heck? So just to the left, the plot thickens. So look up in this shaded spot. I just saw those. I think we got enough time. Let's go look at them real quick. Bit of a conundrum with the time, but I think if I hustle, we can hit both spots. So let's try it real quick. Okay, so here's the approach to the little side ruin off of the main two. So this little window is what caught my attention. It's probably about 12 feet off the ground. Just a sheer face, but it kind of continues over there. So let's go see if there's a way up back there. There's a little structure in the back here that's fallen down, but the main thing is just right up this little slab. It's not bad at all. So first thing that really sticks out to me are all these portholes. So quick count gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 10 different portholes, and they all seem like they're facing a different direction so that you can have like an overall commanding view of the field before you. It's just kind of like a rubble-filled slope below you. Let me try to give you guys a quick rundown. So right back here is where I came up, just a little ledge. The wall begins here, but I would guess that at one point it carried on further and it's just fallen down. And then once you get into the wall is where you start getting all the portholes. Wow, that's actually really intriguing. So this one faces right down the ledge that you have to walk up to get here. It also looks out, so that first little door of the granary was like, it's like right here, maybe 12 feet away from me. And so you'd also be able to see any approach to that. So you got the end of this wall, and then there's another doorway here, and this would eventually lead you into that second granary. But this one's fully closed up. There's no, portholes in there, which makes me think that was just purely a storage spot. It's an intriguing spot for sure with all these like portholes. I've seen that a few different places here in the Southwest. And sometimes people say like, oh, well, that must be like gun holes and stuff. These ruins here, this thing's at least 800 years old. So it was long before firearms ever came into the Americas. So my guess for these is they're not like firing holes, because you couldn't get a bow and arrow, lined up and shot out of that, I don't think. I think it was more just to spot. It's definitely intriguing, but I want to make sure we have plenty of time to check those others out.
About dreamland. Dreamland is one of the only things that really does the healing. The doctor be taking credit for it. You get shot up. Only thing they did is just pull some bullets out of your ass. But then they say, what? You might have slept for a fucking month. It is not the damn doctors taking credit. Your own body heals when you go inside of that dimension of dreamland. Here come the two nurses again coming and operating on you. Or these entities. But these entities, you have to jack in to dreamland. Now, let me explain this to you. Because this is the most amazing information, because this is advanced research in the melanin, because we've proven that melanin, if they take the melanin out of you, put it in a white person, the white motherfucker fall asleep. Melanin, sleep, here again, sleep is not just the body getting tired. Sleep is another dimension. Sleep is a substance, and sleep is an entity within itself. You see Shiva, the god of sleep. You see the sleeping Buddha. That's the other world. Now this is the most amazing thing, because now, that particular world, which is the dream realm, this is the waking world, a series of events that never happened. It's only an illusion. The Gnostic texts tell you this is the dream. The Egyptians tell you that this is the dream. So what we call the dreamland is the real world. Now what about if you go into it, if you're in a dream right now, there's no way when you're in a dream and whatever you're going on, you don't know that shit is real. No way in hell. Every now and then you might realize that this is a dream because the spirit wants you to realize it's a dream. But to tell you in actuality, to show you the difference between the waking world and the dream world. There ain't no difference. When you go to sleep, whatever you experience in the dream is reality to you. Because sometimes, that's why you wake up, oh shit. And you know, like they told you in the Matrix, what? What about if you go to sleep? What about if you have a dream and never wake up? How would you know the dream wouldn't be reality? You would never know. That's what the world is when a person dies. They go back to that particular world. So the dreamland is reality. The key here is that the dreamland is now gaining more momentum over the physical world. That's what the Aborigines say. They give all this thousands of years of history. They say, what happened before that? They say, oh, that's when dreamland was. So that means that's a prior history prior to the physical world. You see what I'm saying? But you need something to jack your ass in. Uniform. Perfectly safe. Perfectly safe. You can perfectly safe. And so all the motherfuckers staying out of dreamland. And all of a sudden, some niggas got some guts. All of a sudden, the conscious crowd start doing the jack-in with the uniform down in Atlanta. And some of them are experiencing the same dream. And everybody start, then not on that, people start saying, well, yeah, we seeing parties go on in the dream.
Why are black Gen Xers so pissed off nowadays?
That's a good question. In 1988, my family and I had a 52-acre farm in Hillsdale County, Michigan. We were the only black people in the county. We raised animals. We had cows and chickens, and we were living off the grid basically. And then we had our house fire bombed. We were the only black people in the county. The next day, they said, when they put the fire out, they said, we can't tell if it was arson or not. Only the fire marshal himself can make that determination, and he won't be able to come out till tomorrow. So the next day, my dad went to go get some lumber so he can build up a fence between the tree lines so people can't just drive up on our property. And while he was gone, my mom was waiting on the fire marshal. I was kind of watching her. I was kind of peeking around the corner watching her. She was 5 months pregnant. She was trying to rake in the yard. She had her 12-gauge shotgun with her in case the people with firebombers came back. But she was too small to hold it. She could just prop herself up. While I'm watching her, 2 Hillsdale County sheriffs pulled up. They grabbed her. They reached around the gate and grabbed the shotgun, put it in the trunk, handcuffed her, and drove off with her. My dad came home with all this lumber. I ran out and told him what I saw. He left. He came back and said, yeah, they arrested your mom for felonious assault. They said she had the pew-pew up on her in the pocket of her shoulder pointing at vehicles as they drove up and down the road. I knew that was a lie. My mom was not like that. They arrested her. They convicted her of felonious assault. She did 133 days in Hillsdale County Jail, felonious assault. When they let her out, as she was 5 months pregnant, we all moved back to Detroit. I got back to Detroit. I absolutely hated it. I had nothing in common with anybody my age in Detroit. I was a farm kid. I was naive. And then I got a summer job. I got a job. I got a bike. It was the best feeling of freedom that I had since I was on the farm. I rode it everywhere, and I'm riding at night, and then I got robbed. Great. Now I hate this place all over again. So I got my check I cashed it at the check cashing spot. I'm walking home. I'm paranoid. I had $222.13. I bust my ass and earned this money. I had my head on a swivel. I'm looking one way. I hear, hey, from the other direction. My heart started beating fast. I look, it's 2 cops. Whew. Start making smile a little bit. Like, man, they don't know how bad they scared me. They walking up to me. I'm getting ready to say something. They gut checked me and doubled me over. And then they grabbed my arms and stood me up while I'm coughing and trying to catch my breath. They handcuffed me. They take everything out of my pockets, my money, my keys, my wallet. They said, what the fuck is you smiling about? I can't even talk. I'm coughing. I'm trying to catch my breath. They put me in the back of the squad car. They called in the dispatch and gave my ID. Dispatch called back all clear. The officer said, you heard her. She said you had a warrant for $222.13. You gonna pay it here or you gonna pay it at the precinct? I said, I didn't do anything. He said, oh, you didn't hear me. She said, you have a warrant for $222.13. You gonna pay it right here or you gonna pay it at the precinct? Which one you gonna do? And I was mad, I was scared, I was frustrated, and I yelled. I didn't do anything. Officer jumped out the vehicle, got in the back seat with me, pulled out his pew-pew and stuck it in my neck and said, N-word, do you know I'll fucking blow your brains out right here? And I was frustrated, I was mad, I was terrified, and I was trying to keep that tear from dropping down my face, but I couldn't. And I hated that tear more than anything else. And I had to watch my breath and say, sir, I didn't do anything. He started laughing, looked at the cop in the front seat and said, well, you heard him. You're going to pay it at the precinct. They took me down there. It was Friday afternoon, about 5:30. They didn't fingerprint me. They didn't take no pictures. They just put me in the cell. Monday morning, they just let me out. I walked home. I got home. My parents were freaking out. They didn't know where I was all weekend. My dad asked me, where were you? I told him. He said, get in the truck. Let's go up there. We went back up to the precinct, and my dad was pissed. My dad is an old civil rights guy. Look at my pictures on my page of him getting arrested for ordering a cheeseburger. He was one of them guys. He said, y'all gonna tell me why y'all had my son in here all weekend? And the officer, I'll never forget it, started smiling and fake typing on the computer and was like, we got no record of your son being down there. He asked my name or nothing. My dad said, bullshit, you gonna tell me why you had my son down here all weekend? The cop was like, well, we was probably out gangbanging or something, selling drugs or something. My dad was like, my son ain't like that. Motherfucker, you gonna tell me why you had my son? And he stood up and unsnapped his weapon and said, sir, you got a weapon on you? and we left. This is 1988. 1989, I remember watching these stories about kids my age wiling out. I never forget that verbiage in New York and how they were like a pack of animals and the police grabbed them and got confessions out of them. And there was a New York billionaire who had everything he could ever want in the world, was advocating for the death penalty for these kids that were my age. I'm sorry, what were you saying about KKK and never seen them before?
Vegas, not stay in Vegas. It circled the known universe. The frenzy grew when reports surfaced that unknown authorities had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family was driven into hiding, off the grid, out of sight, underground. But 10 months later, the mystery lives on, and looky-loos and alien hunters are still on the prowl. The family posted no trespassing signs, but break-ins have been reported frequently here, as recently as last week at this home. Tonight, a News Nation exclusive, the teenager who made that 911 call is finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since. Our national correspondent Alex Capriello joins me with that live from Las Vegas tonight. So Alex, it's really compelling with the advent of a year passing almost, that they've had a chance to digest what it is they've been through. They have kept quiet. They are not looking for attention. And yet now you're getting information, especially from this 15-year-old or the 17-year-old, that's pretty alarming.
Yeah, and I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot-tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start again, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing a truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like that's like a couple seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it, the alien demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
It's a demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed. That once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, you know, only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad, it's not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. It was, you could see like, he was breathing like he was like pissed off. Like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me, yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. Well, I remember he was growling, like a dog, like, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and they just let me go. That's when I went inside, and you know, I saw my dad. I saw it too.
Did it felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. I couldn't move, yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
They, you know, like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, you know. I'm not doing it for fame. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that. I made no money off that. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not. No. I hope God, no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
And Ashley, I don't know what your impression of him was, but when I was speaking to him personally, I was really struck by how confident and authentic he was about his memories of that night. There's a lot of people obviously out there in the world that would make up ghost stories in order to chase any sort of clout or fame, but to me, Angel came across as somebody who truly believed that he saw something that night in that backyard right here behind me.
Yeah, Alex, he didn't really seem to have canned answers either. So if this was all a big ruse, he's either a really, really good actor, I mean, Meryl Streep quality, and, you know, he certainly didn't script it, didn't seem to plan out answers, you know, at the grasp. I do want to ask you about the family. You know, this is the 17-year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And boy, did he ever add some details there, that what he saw seemed to be angry and breathing heavily, was growling, looking right at his brother and him, and that he felt frozen, which is an account we've heard from other people who have felt that they've seen something out of this world before, that they've been frozen and unable to move. What about the family? Does the family back him?
Yeah, the family does, although they're much less willing to go public about it. I spoke to his mom, who basically said that she has no interest in speaking about it because she just feels differently than Angel. She feels like nobody in the world is going to believe her. Angel, on the other hand, while certainly not trying to publish his case widespread, he feels the need to share it because he wants the world to know what he saw, and also he wants the world to know that his family is doing okay and moving forward. In general, the family wants the spotlight off of them. Take, for example, all these no trespassing signs. There's at least 4 of them. But at this time, they are just basically saying, look, we don't really want to talk about it anymore, but we still stand behind the things that we saw that night.
I'll tell you what's going to happen to these storms. They're going to subside. Then a massive heat is going to flow. Then winter's going to be out of place. And then it's all going to break loose from there. Did you guys get that? I won't say that twice. I won't say it again. To talk about certain weather things now is quite dangerous. Quite dangerous. There are a lot of people who are going to believe that the seasons are out of place. That the pole shift is, there are a lot of people going to believe the pole shift is taking place. To track a pole shift, you must track the sun. You have to track the sun. But I submit to you this. What's going to mess people up is when there is no pole shift and the seasons change anyway. I would like to have people prepared. I tend to entertain those subjects that people don't think of or say they don't exist, like the jet stream changing direction. When the jet stream changes direction, does anybody have any idea what's going to happen to the western portion of the United States? What's going to happen to Europe? You guys have any idea? Nobody is prepared for the jet stream to change positions. Yeah, how you doing, Brother Jesse? And it sure will. A drought beyond comprehension. By the way, it's happened before, you all. The jet stream did change positions once before, very briefly. This was in the 80s, I believe. Very briefly, it changed positions and caused the worst drought in the history of histories. This influence we're under is going to change it for a great many days. Certain places in the United States will be a wasteland. Those places that were temperate forests, like the East Coast, Virginia, West Virginia, part of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, those places, they're going to become arid regions. Coastal places, the East Coast, is going to be hammered if the jet stream changes position. You're looking at a lot of moisture coming from the North Atlantic Ocean, which normally goes to Europe, coming back to the East Coast. And because of the mountain ranges on the East Coast, it's going to get trapped. It will cause us to lose a lot of coastal places on the East Coast. Saturation effect will take its toll because there are empty caverns all up and down the East Coast. And you know what? Heidi broke that because she said the Lord gave her the word wormhole concerning the East Coast. And I don't think she has any earthly idea that what she was talking about is classified information concerning the East Coast. If saturation affects too much rain hits the East Coast, we're going to lose Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, parts of Georgia, Florida. Parts of Florida will be gone. New Jersey will be gone. Rhode Island. Massachusetts will be hit. Parts of Maine will begin to go under. That's what happens if the jet stream changes for any duration of days. Everybody's going to have to migrate who are east of the Appalachian Mountains to places like Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Wisconsin. That's what they're going to have to do. Those folks who live in Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, California, Utah, New Mexico, and Texas, we're going to have to migrate to places like North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas. And then a great number of people are going to attempt to flee south across the border. You guys know that statement, you reap what you sow. What do you think is going to happen when the highways get jammed going into Mexico because people are fleeing? What do you think is going to happen? That's a question mark day. That's a question mark day. When they have to flee to Mexico to escape what's here in the United States, can you imagine what's going to happen? Canada won't be any good to flee because Canada will be overtaken by the coldest temperatures on record. By the way, there was an ancient freeze, and I think they got the time down to 14 minutes. 14 minutes. 14 minutes. Just think, you're going in the middle of July. It's summer, you're having a barbecue. 14 minutes later, everything is frozen in about 6 inches of ice. Can you imagine that? That's how long it took last time, 14 minutes. A great many people were warned about that time and they went underground. That's what happened to them. Anyway, we're not getting into that history. Not yet. Of all things, a wall. A wall is forming. First of all, the moisture forming out of nowhere makes no sense because it's going over drought regions which are very dry, but the moisture is forming after that. I hope you know that that's an unlikely scenario that's happening. So the weather we're having is one of those scenarios that is not common at all. And again, they're going to have to think up new names for some of the new type tornadoes, horizontal tornadoes that will form, which are going to be, imagine a wall of cloud that looks like a tsunami or a very high wave coming at you, but it's full of moisture and wind. Very high winds. You see, a horizontal tornado, if it formed, would have pressures and wind beyond anything anybody on Earth that I know of has experienced. But we really are looking at winds being very close to, well, let's just say 400 miles an hour plus. 400 mile an hour plus. Peter, there were some isolated happenings. Isolated. But this one indicated that the other one's taking that same track. Or more like perturbers. There will be perturbations in this solar system. We're going to pass right through an ancient system. That's what they've been hiding. So we're going to pass right through an ancient solar system. Anyway, I won't say that again either. So that's not very safe to say. What we do know is that our shields are down. Okay, patch balls on live? Yeah, by the way, listen, there are 4 magnetic type balls in this solar system. They have not moved. There's a 5th inside the sun that goes inside, outside, inside, outside. They have not moved. But again, we are passing through an ancient. When we pass through that ancient solar system, now that's going to be trouble. All right, folks, we're gonna swap to Pastor Paul here. He's supposed to be on at 7:30, not 7 o'clock. 7:30. Is he on live? Yeah, he is. No, is this a rerun or is this live? Somebody find out if this is a rerun, please, or live. Might be live. Yeah, from inside and outside the sun. Actually, I'm shocked that Jesse didn't pick this up, but they keep removing frames on the activity of the sun. So they're really scrutinizing everything concerning the sun, because now there are frames missing and they're editing all the happenings. They're doing real-time editing and a host of things. And so, I mean, if I have to, I want to give certain people set access to optics that do not go through that filtering process. That will give them the missing frames, but still, it's only, you know what, it's only good through information because it can't be verified by anybody else. And that's the problem with our society today. They have to have everything verified. Yeah, Peter, when we were watching live and that small dot was in the back, remember, it was live, and I said, oops, somebody's going to be in trouble because that small dot's in the back of the ISS. Then, of course, the feed was lost. Do you remember that, Peter? I think, Peter, you showed us a link to that page, but I had been seeing that small dot in the back, and they're not allowed to show that. Here's how it works, by the way. Here's how it works. What they do is they'll take an image, an external image. They will defocus that external image so everything seems blurred. Then they have another camera that takes another image, and they effectively blank out any of their targeted colors from the background. Then they put the two pictures back together, and thus you don't see anything in the background. Because here's the truth. If you were to actually go into space, there's not a spot you can look, there wouldn't be a star. You'd see stars everywhere. There's not a spot in the sky you could point to where you wouldn't see a star. In the night sky, the atmosphere filters out a great many of the stars. Now just imagine that. From your viewpoint on Earth, you're seeing just a few stars. But if the atmosphere vanishes, you would see so many stars and so many objects moving, and very large things moving. Yet it'd probably scare you to pieces. They're large triangle vessels that move often throughout the solar system. They don't want you to know any of these things. Can you imagine a triangle-sized object that we did not build, that's larger than the moon, moving around in the solar system? How about what they call the space arcs that we didn't build, that are 600 miles in length, 300 miles in width, and about 250 miles tall, highly radioactive, that are moving throughout our universe all the time? Men have lied so much covering up things that if they were ever, listen, when these things begin to unfold, people are really going to have heart attacks. That's why they're going to have heart attacks. This is why I'm telling you guys, don't ever say what does not exist. Don't be in that crowd. Believe the word of God. Wait till he gives revelation. Because people are going to visually see things that are only found, in sci-fi stories. Don't be one of those who says this doesn't exist and that doesn't exist. Don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. The Bible did say men's hearts will fail them for fear for what is coming upon the earth. If they said a hurricane was coming, I don't think that'd give anybody a heart attack. You know what would give them a heart attack? If they saw something coming that they couldn't possibly imagine and they had proof it was coming. That would give them a heart attack. There are a great many mysteries to the public in this world. And in my opinion, some should remain mysteries. Some should remain. But the others that are in the Bible should be told. They should be told because a great many people are not going to believe what's happening. There are certain entities of old that are now showing up. Just now, they're showing back up again. Of course, we've had guardians and watchers. Did you guys know the first set of watchers fell? They're called watchers because they intercede for man on earth. They stop things unlawful from happening to earth, but they were replaced. So we have a whole new set. But there are other things showing up too. The earth has built-in defense mechanisms and weapons that are coming back online all by themselves. They only come online in the presence of trouble. To be honest with you, in the Tunguska blast, they determined that one of those weapons fired. They know it fired. They know that one of those weapons fired over Russia too. There's a place in Russia that has domes that are highly radioactive, that have been there for a very long time. The metal is made. The metal is something that's not found on Earth, but they're perfectly made. When I say perfect, I mean perfectly made. They exist in Russia, but they'll make you sick getting near them. They're very old. This is something we didn't build. This is something built pre-flood time. Pre-flood. They also don't want you to know that the years before the flood were a little more advanced than the days we have now. They don't want you to know that. The basis of their technology was not proton and electron theory, but they harnessed energy in other ways. They had flying machines. King Solomon himself, in one day, flew to a whole nother nation. They don't want to tell you about Noah's sons leaving inscriptions in Mexico, one of his sons leaving that. They don't want to tell you that they were masters of metalwork. They certainly don't want to show you the tools that they had. That included some crystalline laser technology. They don't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you that underneath the Great Pyramid in Egypt, that something is turned on down there. They don't want to tell you that. They certainly don't want to tell you about the prosthetics that they find in dinosaurs often. They don't want to tell you that either. There are a great many things people don't know. That's why you shouldn't say what does not exist. You know whose hearts are going to fail them for fear for what is coming upon the earth? The scoffers. The scoffers are. See, a scoffer will say, oh, I've seen so much of the Bible, I don't believe it. That can't be true. That's just garbage. That's a scoffer. A scoffer was once on the inside and then fell away. That's why they make the best scoffers. You see, a person that doesn't know what they're talking about, they don't really scoff so well, do they? But one that's been on the inside, they scoff. These same people are going to realize that the words of Revelation were true, that the prophecies were true, and they're going to know they're condemned. And when these things show up, that's it. They're going to have a heart attack because now they have to answer for it. In fact, the book of Isaiah says a great many people will walk with their head down, not even asking for forgiveness, because they're going to know internally they're guilty. It was promised that there would be a great war in heaven. A great war in heaven right before the beast is sent to earth. There'll be a great war in heaven. A lot of people think that war is happening or happened already. I can say now they don't know what they're talking about.
Too afraid to find a real man and real love, so you marry a faggot for a Birkin bag and then turn your head while he's fucking a bunch of kids.
You know what time it is. Now, another thing that, of course, he spoke on last time was, and at the time it happened, was a slap by Will Smith to Chris Rock. We spoke on it. But since then, Jada Pinkett has written a book where she reveals that multiple times she tried to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Not saying exactly what the reason was.
I don't know why she keeps trying. She just get it done. Don't be bad at everything.
Shit. Yeah.
You was an all right actress. You was a terrible wife. You was a bad mother. You was a kid who knew that your husband was doing things to boys and did stuff to your son, and you ain't do shit about it. Bilal told me everything.
Their good friend who
Bilal told me, Jada. He told me that you knew Will was f***ing your child. Yes, he did. Wonder why he left that out of his Tasha K interview.
Yeah, in that interview, he said a lot. He said a lot.
He said everything but the thing that was important. That he know that Will Smith raped Jaden, he raped Bashir, and he raped Meek Mills, and you know it, Bilal. Now I don't give no fuck how far in the desert you run. You'll go from a Philly nigga to a sand, but they'll still get you.
He's Philly though, Jay. It's Philly.
You know, he Meek Milk. As far as I'm concerned, he Meek Milk. I ain't calling him Mill no more. That's milk. That's Meek Milk. Added to the honeycomb. You got a meal.
So you believe the Dwayne Martin story that could have happened?
Of course. Everybody know that shit. Everybody knew they was just ain't nobody know Dwayne was folding him over like that, taking him to Pound Town. And all these black running around marrying these. Sitting there convincing other women to go chase a fag. Go get you. Look at my it, isn't he? Can you imagine if he's told the truth about their relationships? I want you to meet my husband. He a fag. Would you like to come over? I'll make cookies.
Now, Jag, you know.
That's what these is doing. Hey, young man, come on over. My husband just wants to touch you for a little while on camera. I promise you, you won't feel a thing. Sniff this.
Okay. So, Jag,
really? You stand on red carpets with and you sell an image of lies. Then you influence the public and ask the public to covet and want your life. Who wants that? Who jealous of that? A bunch of whack too afraid to find a real man and real love. So you marry a faggot for a Birkin bag and then turn your head while he's fucking a bunch of kids. I don't feel sorry for none of you, bitch. Don't y'all sit around writing your books, telling your sob stories. He was a going in. You should have known he was going to be a You married that and made babies with it. Look at Nicki Minaj. You got bitch and marrying level 3 sex offenders. And do you know since then, she done moved out. She don't live at the house they was living at no more. Kenneth there by herself. She literally got him a zoo. And she fills it with sex who don't mind rough sex. And she lives in another house with the baby. But he's supposed to be the primary custodian, which is why he ain't in jail where he's supposed to be, because he got to take care of the baby. But the only thing he's taking care of is making new victims. Who watching Papa Bear? I thought that's why he was here. Speaking of missing children, Tasha K, where are your kids? Because word on the street is you ain't got time to raise children. We already know that girl is Sheck, baby. You ain't had that child in quite some time. And you sent little Teddy to Africa with your husband people. What? You a married woman and you ain't got time to raise your kids? But you want to talk about mine all day, huh? That boy is under 10 years old being raised by Africans that you don't really know. For all you know, that little boy is playing in a pile of monkey shit right now. You don't know. Wrestling with rhinos shit. You don't know. Where your kids, bitch? You busy running around trying to blackmail Kevin Hart for cheating on his wife when we all know he likes penis? Maybe you would have got that 250 if you would have told the truth. But you want to hold him to the fire over some shit you know ain't real. That ain't real. His mail order Bangkok bride. While he's looking so safe, laying in the Rock's arms, being cradled like a baby. You mean?
Okay. You
want to expose that he cheated on his wife with a man that would have sold. I ain't getting no fuck about no fake. Tell us the real shit. You supposed to be Tasha K. You supposed to have all the wine. And the wine and the wine. Tell him he's a f***ing bitch.
So
I'm gonna need to smoke. I gotta take my meds.
yeah, hold on, wait. I gotta ask you, Jag, real quick.
33% THC. That's my medicine.
We
Real life.
Angel Reese is going viral after being welcomed to the Chicago Sky organization for her introduction press conference in what looked like to be poor fashion from the franchise. Because when you compare it to Caitlin Clark's introduction conference for the Indiana Fever, they look like they were preparing for this day for years. Bringing out a red carpet, having their gym packed with fans, media, cameras, front office staff, all giving hugs with joy. She was even escorted to the gym in a Mercedes Sprinter. And even the Minnesota Lynx welcomed their new rookie, Alyssa Peely, with much appreciation by greeting her with a tribal ceremony since she's Samoan with Alaska Native descent, while also having her local community members there to show love, as well as the Lieutenant Governor, Penny Flanagan, who is also of Native descent. However, for Angel Reese, she walked in alone in what looked like an empty high school gymnasium, as if the Chicago Sky wasn't even prepared for her introduction conference. There was minimal media, no fans, no exciting warm hugs from any front office staff. However, Reese has done exactly what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA so far. Both their jerseys have sold out and tickets have skyrocketed for both organizations before either player have put on a jersey. Both these women are breaking barriers for this sport, yet one is getting the proper recognition from their organization, but the other is looking like they're getting taken advantage of.
About the 2024 solar storm, I'm telling you that's the second sign that the Anunnaki are making a comeback, and the first sign, that solar eclipse. Back in 2019, Yasuyuki Mitsuma and his crew stumbled upon this ancient Babylonian tablet talking about a solar storm where the whole sky turned red and these blue beings started falling from the heavens like raindrops. But here's where it gets real wild. These same dudes go on an expedition to Antarctica. They vanish for 2 whole days whilst exploring Rothschild Island. When they finally turn up, they're clutching these bizarre sun-shaped relics, rambling about 5 freaky sun-related anomalies that signal the return of the blue gods. It ain't over yet. Them tablets also spill about how during this solar storm, humans fled underground for safety. Now, ain't that something? Because around that same era, they're carving out Derinkuyu underground city over in Turkey. Now, why in the world would Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg be building these massive bunkers if they ain't thinking we're all cooked? It's all there, man. You just gotta look.
Everything that exists in the world today was 100 times bigger when these trees were alive because the oxygen levels were so rich. This is what I mean when I say most geology is petrified biology, because whatever caused these giant tree stumps to petrify would have petrified all organic matter on Earth. Sandstone is petrified red cedar and quartz is petrified tree sap. There's a company known as the Sand Mafia that makes sand from petrified wood. Petrified wood is really high in all types of iron, hence why there's so much iron in the world. Hangman 1128 on YouTube has over 100 hours of content about these magnificent tree remains. He's documented the science, so start from the beginning of his videos to gain a better understanding. The Book of Enoch speaks of 200 great world trees covered in jewels, gems, and all the fruits of the world. It says in the book the angels were sent down to cut the trees to prevent the giants climbing them to escape the great flood. I'm not religious, but I find it highly suspicious why that book was removed from the original scriptures in the Bible. After all, wasn't Enoch supposed to be related to Moses and Noah? That book also speaks of the workings of this world, and it sounds nothing like a heliocentric universe, but it does sound much more like an enclosed realm with the luminaries revolving above. You believe giant lizards bigger than houses once roamed this earth, but trees are already bigger than houses, so what's so hard to grasp? The scale difference between trees of today and these trees is that of an ant compared to a human. Your entire history has been fabricated to control your present and future. You're literally living a lie and paying them for the pleasure. Watch until then, but don't forget to follow Unbind Your Mind and subscribe to my YouTube for more like this.
The survey is falling, they're shooting, there's gangbangers versus gangbangers, they're shooting across at each other. Let them do it. Falling. Let it be. Middle.
Cermak and Spalding, the gang members are shooting at each other.
You've got enough to think about maintaining.
All right, so I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm kind of done. So I'm over the weekend, and I'm going to start getting out the details. I will be organizing and personally financing a class action lawsuit in order to stop Congress from banning TikTok. I'm over. See, you are allowed to sue the government when the government causes you financial harm. Okay? That financial harm can come in many, many forms. Okay? You can be a paid creator. Let's say you're not a paid creator, but let's say you watched Blackjack American's channel and it helped you make more money in business. Our senators and House representatives cannot financially damage the American people. And if they want to play the lawfare game, then I'm going to work on crowdfunding and personally finance a class action lawsuit. I'll get a website built out. I'm going to start working on it all weekend in order to stop the scumbags in the House and the Senate from stealing this from us. Because it is causing financial damage to the American people, which is one of the reasons why you can initiate a class action lawsuit against government officials, is in the case of financial loss. So even if you're not a paid creator, if you got a piece of advice that helps you make more money, I would encourage you to sign up on the class action lawsuit. Once I get the website organized, get the attorneys all going in the same direction and start funding the project, I'd encourage everybody to sign up. I'm over it, guys. I'm done not being represented by Congress, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'll give you guys all details as I get further into the project and get everything organized. It's time for we the people to fight back. It's time for us to organize lawfare against them. Have a great day, everybody.
Say the weird thing. People are desperately seeking realness.
I was quite surprised to see you use the word Aborigines talking about African Americans.
You know, I've dealt with that issue.
The Aborigines of these lands, now known today as America, were made slaves when the invading colonials arrived. But through the funding of the church, manifesting as Spain, Britain, and France, these colonials devised a plan in conquering the rest of the Americas. Spain knew of these lands before Columbus. They had struck treaties, or in other words, paid off or forced the indigenous leaders to give up their lands. The history books don't teach about these remaining empires in America during the 18th century. This plan was really a plan to wipe out the remaining threat of Aborigines and to create a false identity by shipping many blacks to Africa to create this society off the coast of Africa. They made up the lie of the Civil War in order to make you believe that they fought for black people's freedoms. The many abolitionists who developed during this period were said to be against slavery, but this is just a setup. It's like philanthropy. They wanted to make themselves seem like the redeemers, when all they did was completely brainwash and replace the sense of self with a foreign entity. Thomas Jefferson did reply to this plan by Anne Mifflin and said that this would be the most desirable measure in which could be adopted for gradually drawing off the black population. He endorsed it and thought that it should be the highest priority for the United States to make an establishment off the coast of Africa. This plan was well received by the rest of these forming new colonies in America, and the plan began to remove and indoctrinate the remaining population of the Aborigines of this land. These abolitionists from the North did not care about black people at all. Common for his times, Jefferson believed blacks were inherently inferior to whites and thought it was best the two races remained segregated. Many of us were given false histories, and our homelands were forgotten. But on a greater scale, our spiritual identities were lost. A new age began where we forgot about our own structures and architecture and the very cities that we now currently all share in America. The colonials did not build these cities. The groundwork for all major cities was built upon an existing civilization. That is the secret that has been kept from our education in order to enslave mankind under an exterior god, the god of materialism and death.
Hi, this is Macy of Mindfulness coming to you with a tidbit of information. I hadn't been on here in a couple of days because a lot of times now I'm trying to go within to transform my mind. You know, the Bible speaks of be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I'll come back a little later and talk to you about that. But what I wanted to do is I am on my way into the doctor's office to have some blood drawn. And yesterday I brought my son up here. Same thing, have to get their yearly exam or what have you. And I noticed that every time you go to the doctor now, they ask you if you are depressed. Now I can't remember them asking that every time you go to the doctor, especially if you have not shown any type of, you not said anything to them about it, or you not shown any type of I guess signs of it or what have you. But they tend to ask you that every time you go, and I want you guys to just notice that. But the reason why I'm bringing that to your attention is because they have something now, and it came with the O-Care, if you all know what I'm talking about, because they do have, certain words on the algorithm, in which I know that they watch my TikToks because I know my content is good, but I only get about 200 views, 200 to 300 views most of the time with my stuff. But I just want you guys to notice, if you're going to the doctor or, the hospital or anything like that, and they're asking you if you are depressed, please know that they have what they call assisting you to oust yourself now. So I'm saying that to say to you, go in there and everything good. Everything good. Everything is good. You understand what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Because you don't want they already track everything we do, everything we say. But you don't want to go in and say anything that would give them any excuse to be able to do exactly what New York has already done, to say, oh, we can just come in and put you somewhere if we think you're sick. You understand what I'm saying? And all of these places are passing all of these legislations and laws and things like that. So I'm not going to be on here long, but what I want you to do is I want you to share this, or share. You don't even have to share this video itself, but share with your friends and family. If they go to the doctor and the doctor is now asking them, are you feeling depressed? Yeah, because they want to assist you. You go and look it up, and you'll see for yourself. Canada has already started assisting people. Other people have already started assisting people in ousting yourself. They say it's too many people on the earth. So they're going to assist you in doing what, what? Where they do that at? Oh my God, where are we? So I'm going to say, because the solution to what I be coming on here saying to you guys is, you have to speak what it is that you want to see. You have to see what it is that you want to see happen in this world. I don't care what they're doing or what they want your focus to be on. You focus on what it is that you want to see. That's the transforming or the renewing of your mind. Renew your mind. They have put it back where you can see it with these eyes here, and then it goes into the subconscious, the unconscious mind, all those things like that, and you're focusing on these certain things that are happening around you, and you're not being able to sit still and focus on what it is that you want to see, how it is that you want this world to be. Understand that we have power. And I'm going to say this part and then I'm going to get off of here. I did a video not long ago on if a man don't work, he don't eat. That's a man or a woman. But it's not the physical work that they made us feel like it was about. It's talking about this work. Baby, they put so much stuff in your face. They make sure that you stressed out. They make sure that you got to work 2 or 3 jobs. They make sure that all of this Housewives of Atlanta and all these different types of things are going on, and P. Diddy and all this. They want to make sure. They want you to go get your straw man. They want you to clean up your credit. They want you to learn how to do Wall Street. They want you to do all these things because then that's the external. You are focusing on the external. You're focusing on the senses of who you are and not the spiritual man of who you are. That's why they placed Jesus on the outside of you and said that he was the S-O-N, so that you can look outside for your salvation instead of inside and to the S-U-N. All of this is a game for them. All of it. But this is the game of life. So you're going to have to learn how to play it just as well as I have to learn how to play it. So this is Macy of Mindfulness. I'm not going to be on here long. You have a great, great day. And just think about what I said. Look and see. Be mindful of when you go to the doctor if you have to go. I try not to go. But when I do, I notice that they're asking you, are you depressed? Hell no, I'm not depressed. I'm impressed because I'm ready to move up higher. So again, this is Macy of Mindfulness coming to you with a tidbit of information.